Well, hello and welcome to this latest video in the NetBeans 101 series. In this video, we're going to look at plugins because basically NetBeans is built around plugins. Why plugins? Well, as I've just said, NetBeans is basically built around plugins. Virtually everything in NetBeans is a plugin, some of which you can alter, some of which you can't alter. That's the first point. And you can write your own plugin at any time to extend any part of NetBeans that you wish. And it's actually available. Create a new project, you can actually do it directly from within NetBeans. Now, NetBeans, the plugins extend NetBeans capabilities, so you can add anything you like. And there are over 1,000 plugins available for NetBeans. Some will work with NetBeans 8.2 and 9 and 10 when it's released, and some won't. And they, when I show you the site, you'll actually see that they actually have a list of those that it's tested with. Okay, so which plugins do you need? Well, if you've got and installed NetBeans 9, then to do C++, PHP, HTML, JavaScript, etc., you're going to need to download the 0.2 plugin, IDE plugin. Now, I'll put a link to this below, and it'll also be on the website, so that you can do it, and I'll actually show you how to install this plugin into your system as well if you're on NetBeans 9. Now, NetBeans 10 does not require this plugin, nor does NetBeans 8.2. It's only required for NetBeans 9. There are other plugins available. As I said, there are over 1,000 available, and you can get these from the plugins.netbeans.org plugin portal. And you can search for the plugins that you want. If you decide that you don't want NetBeans 9 or NetBeans 10, then you can go for the older NetBeans version, NetBeans 8.2 or 8.1, and again you can get these from netbeans.org/downloads. Okay, so let's have a look at plugins and what you need to do. I'm assuming you've installed NetBeans onto your system and that you've got this screen up and running. If you need to know how to install NetBeans on your system, I'll put some links at the top here for you to have a look at. So the first thing to do is to see which plugins you've actually got on your system and which plugins are activated. Just because they're on your system doesn't actually mean they're activated. So you click on this and plugins, and the plugin screen will open. So the first one to look at is installed, and it will tell you how many you've got. Notice that some have a tick against them and some do not. Now, the ones that don't have a tick against them are inactive, and you can activate them. Now, the base IDE you can't actually change, so you'll actually, if you tick on it, you can't change it, which is why it's like that. For something like, for example, PHP, we can deactivate it, or if it's not got a tick here, then you'd click on the activate button to activate it. So quite simply, if you need one activating, for example the Java SE here, I'll click on activate and we get the activate window. It will activate the plugins. This might take a moment. Depending on your computer will depend on how long it takes to actually activate the plugin. Once it's activated, you can click on restart now and then click on finish and the IDE will restart. I'm actually going to click on restart later because there's a second one that I want to activate, so I'll click on Restart IDE later, click on Finish. And the other one I want to activate, you'll notice that we have a message at the bottom, and to restart the IDE you can just click on the balloon. But the other one I want to activate is the Developing NetBeans. As you can see, this is not activated and it allows for the plugin development. So I've ticked this and I'll click Activate. We'll get the Activate screen again and this will activate. Okay, so we've activated the Developing NetBeans, so I shall click on Finish. Now you'll notice that when we actually activated the Java SE, we got a message to restart. Now I've clicked on the message and it just says click the balloon to restart. Now just actually click this link, so we'll do that. As you can see, I've got the NetBeans plugin portal open, and we'll have a look at that in more detail in a moment. Okay, so that's the IDE restarted. One thing to bear in mind, the more plugins and modules you have, the longer it takes the IDE to start, as it has to load all of these in. Right, so that's the plugins installed. If we just look on Tools and Plugins again, we have an error. Okay, well, I shall report that to the NetBeans team, but I believe they may well know about that, as it's one of the reasons why IDE 10 has not been released yet, so I will check that later and see if it needs reporting. Right, so we looked at the installed and how to activate the plugins, and as you can see, they're all activated. I could activate the Java FX2. This is not activated yet. There is a second way to activate plugins, and I'll see if I can show you that in a later video. If we go to Settings, if you have NetBeans 9, this is where you can have the you can enter the information for the 8.2 plugins. And to do that, in Settings, come down to Add and click on Add. And here we would put in, for example, NetBeans 8.2 plugins, and in the URL you'll enter the URL for the plugins. Again, this is below, it's also on the website, and then you'll click on OK, and it will check for updates. Now, I don't really want to do this, so I'm actually going to disable it once it's done it. Now, you can see that there are a number of plugins that we can have. I'm actually going to remove that for now, and you'll see we're back to normal. It's because I don't actually need them for what I'm using. There are updates for various plugins, and if you click on check for updates, it will go up onto the web and check to see if there are any updates. I do recommend that you do this fairly regularly. It will actually do this for you, usually on a monthly basis, usually. Okay, so that's plugins. That's how you add plugins to the system when you have the settings. Now let's have a look at how we can add plugins from which we've downloaded. So if we go to the plugin portal, and we can choose a plugin. So for example, the Sublime theme is very popular, so let's click on that. So you get details of the Sublime theme. It tells you which versions of NetBeans that it's available for. If it's available for 8, 8.1 and 8.2, then it probably will work on version 9, but that's not an absolute guarantee. You can search for plugins as well if you know the type of plugin that you want. So for example, the top rated is the Darkula theme. So if we click on that, you'll see that it's for 8.2. So this should work with 9, and you get this new theme here. So what I'll do is I'm going to download this, and it just goes to the download folder as normal, and you can see it's called NBM. Come into your plugins window and click on Add Plugins. Now it will look for it in a particular place. I shall go to the downloads. Here I'm actually on, and double click on it, which will open it, and as you can see it's now available. So I don't actually want this on my system, but to install it you will just click install, and it will then become available for you to use. Okay, let's just install it just to show you how it works, but I will also show you to remove it. You will get a warning, that's usually okay, so click continue, and it asks to restart the IDE. I'm going to restart it later, and we'll probably get the, okay, it's not showing it. So what I will do is I will actually restart the IDE. Okay, so it's restarted, and you can see we've now got the Darkula look and feel, which will give me the opportunity to show you how to remove a plugin if you don't want it. So click on Tools, we'll click on Plugins. Okay, so click on Install. Now it's actually installed it in the user installed plugins, and if we click on that you'll see that it's here, but there are other user installed plugins that I have which I don't want to remove. So come to the box marked Show Details and you'll get the complete one. Okay, here you can see the Darkula theme at the top. If you click in Select, you can then click on Deactivate, and then click on Deactivate. It now wants to restart the IDE, so we can click on Finish. So as you can see, we are back to normal again, having disabled the Darkula theme. I'll just very quickly show you the plugins that I have installed, or some of the plugins, user installed plugins I have installed. Really, it's up to you which plugins that you install, because it's a very personal thing. You might not need the plugins that I use, and vice versa. So again, we'll just have a quick look at some of the ones I've installed and why I've installed them. So if we come to installed, and we'll come to the user installed plugins, and we'll just click on it. Now here you get a number of the list of the plugins. The first one that I've installed is the NetBeans regex plugin. This is a regex evaluator, so it makes my life a bit easier when I'm doing regex. Darkula we've disabled, and you can see there's a lot of information on Darkula here. I will probably uninstall it. The next one is PHP manual search. That's this button here. Now PHP is quite a large set of libraries now, and sometimes you do need more information on how something works or the switches that are required. So you can type in the function and then highlight it and click on this little button, and it will take you to the php.net website, where it will give you more information. Emmet. Now Emmet is amazing, it really is, but NetBeans has probably a better system. The NetBeans code completion covers virtually all the languages, whereas Emmet only really covers HTML and CSS. I'm used to using Emmet, so I use it a lot for the CSS, but I don't use it for PHP and for HTML because I use the system the code completion system that comes with NetBeans. But I do use it with CSS, and it's very good for that. Again, if you're used to using Emmet, there is one here for you. Color code preview. So if you type in a color code, it will actually give you the color, usually in the status bar at the side, the number bar there. As you can see, it supports lots of different options. We've got, where are we? Here we go. Okay, the NetBeans Java compiler library. This is used if you're actually going to create plugins and that type of thing, and other items for Java. It's also very useful if you change some of the options. Sometimes it needs to compile them. The PHP enhancements plugin, I use some of these, but I don't always use all of them. As you can see, it adds smart delete, dummy text, so you've got that type of thing. But of course Emmet does the same thing, but not in PHP, so this allows you to enter dummy text and dummy images, that type of thing. There's various typing hooks for this, etc. Okay, and then right at the bottom it gives you a list of modules that are installed. So that's it for plugins. We'll start looking at the options in much more detail later on, because you've got to have the plugins first before you can actually set up the options. One of the things I noticed that the Darkula theme has done is it's changed the theme that I use for my ISO. So one of the things I'll do is I'll show you how to change that back very soon after we start the next video. I hope you found this useful, especially the information as to why certain things are here. And please like, comment and subscribe. And my name's John, and I'll see you next time.